Story 1 Asterisk. I was with my 2 college friends doing a weekend camping trip in woods near us. For privacy, I'll call them Ryan and Jamie. Ryan and I lacked outdoor experience, so Jamie led everything. He took us to his small river spot, a couple miles through forest to a huge field at the river's edge where we camped. Arriving to find nobody there, we set up in the field's center between woods and water, then brought out beers around a campfire. Shortly after settling, I noticed people by the tree line who resembled hunters with dirty clothes and backpacks like they blended into woods, though I spotted no rifles. They were distant though, so possibly I just missed them. I pointed them out, but Jamie wore a puzzled look, saying hunting here was illegal and out of season anyway. He seemed genuinely concerned about their presence. Ryan joked he was overreacting, and we resumed casual talk. Hours later at nightfall, we agreed to sleep. The sun had long set, and the hike exhausted us. We entered our tents, but unused to camping, I struggled to sleep. Something about being exposed in a small tent on a thin air mattress felt unsettling. After lying awake 2 hours, hoping for rest, something jolted me alert. Footsteps approaching our tents. Initially, I assumed Ryan or Jamie returning from bathroom use, but I'd surely have heard tent zippers. Seconds later, I realized multiple footsteps, 2 or 3, maybe more, walking single file. Staring at my tent's thin wall, I expected to see flashlight beams, but there was only darkness. Certainly, they'd seen our tents in this open field, and nobody rational would pass so close without acknowledgement. Unsure how to react, I feigned sleep, listening silently as they neared. The procession passed mere feet away. Once distant, I quietly unzipped my tent just as Ryan did the same. We locked alarmed eyes before looking at the barely visible group still walking away. I slipped out and opened Jamie's tent, waking him. Explaining events, he appeared more horrified than either of us, likely because his frequent camping experience recognized how abnormal this was. We packed hastily, too uneasy to stay. While packing, Jamie suddenly urged in a shaky voice to hurry. We looked up, following his gaze to the tree line where 5 or 6 figures now stood watching us. With adrenaline pumping, I shoved everything into my bag, and we sprinted for the trail. We kept lights off to avoid detection, making the walk nearly blind. Thankfully we escaped, but that group's purpose remains unknown. Based on everything, I don't believe encountering them was accidental. Story 2 Asterisk. Long ago, at age 13 during summer, I spent days playing PS3 or watching TV. Occasionally, I'd go out or see friends, but rain kept me indoors this day. Dad worked until 10 o'clock, and Mum's nursing schedule varied wildly. Mostly gaming that day. Around 7 o'clock, I went to the kitchen to make food when a knock came at the front door. Reluctant to answer and nervous about strangers, I waited silently. After repeated knocks, I peered through the peephole expecting a neighbor, but froze, seeing a police officer scanning the porch while waiting. Feeling obligated, I opened the door to cold rain and a soaked officer. As a kid, my eyes went straight to his hip gun, feeling scared like I'd done wrong. He asked my name, reassured me everything was fine, and smiled to calm me, but his teeth were visibly rotten and yellow, making me notice his overall unkempt appearance. Usually cops looked professional, making this deeply unsettling. He noticed my hesitation, speeding up to say he needed to search the house. Terrified yet sensing danger, I spotted no police car near our house despite the rain. Red flags piled up. As he stepped forward, I slammed and locked the door. He didn't speak, just immediately slammed something against it, hard enough to shake the door and push me back. Thinking it might break, I ran to the landline and dialed 911. Frantic enough that I'm amazed the operator understood me. The man kept pounding the whole time, still there when real police arrived. I heard him claiming legitimacy, but it failed. Arrested and interrogated, he admitted to attempting my kidnapping years later when my parents told me. Had I trusted more, I wouldn't be here today. Story 3, asterisk. I work at a gas station, employed several years when this night seemed routine. Starting at 8 o'clock, I relieved the day worker who left immediately. The first hours passed quickly with steady customers buying items or paying cash for gas. From 11 o'clock to midnight, it slowed until the shift felt like it dragged. I busied myself another hour stocking, then faced the dreaded second half, always slow and tedious. Around 1 a.m., a car pulled in, parking near the entrance. Others had come recently for gas, but rarely did people park this late and enter. I stood straight, wiping tiredness from my face as they didn't enter immediately. Minutes passed before I leaned over the counter, seeing only reflections on the glass door. Assuming they needed a driving break, I sat back with my phone, zoning out reading articles for 20+ minutes. I heard nothing until looking up. My heart nearly stopped. A man stood inside, watching me from an aisle. His eyes darted away when spotted. Mid-40s, with a scruffy beard and dark jacket, he'd entered without my hearing the bell. Mind racing, I watched him pace while glancing to see if I looked away, like he planned action when I did. After 30 seconds, he suddenly hurried out the door. I rushed to look outside, noticing his car remained as he walked past it down the road until vanishing. Checking security cameras revealed him quietly exiting his car, going to the back where no cameras covered, though those doors stayed unlocked. Strangely, 15 minutes passed between him going back there and appearing on the sales floor. Police investigated, finding his abandoned car stolen months prior. They discovered nothing about his motives. Clearly sneaking around, he intended something worse that night. And I was lucky he changed plans. Story for asterisk, off work, relaxing at home. My roommate was out of town. A night owl, I stayed up late, sipping beer while watching TV around midnight when a faint sound came from above. Initially ignoring it, I realized it couldn't be my roommate. Muting the TV, I listened but heard nothing. The soft thump with TV noise made its origin unclear. Though dumb, I didn't feel like investigating. Opening the mini fridge by the couch, I grabbed another beer. Before unmuting the TV, I heard the same thump overhead. Looking up, I detected subtle footsteps pacing the room directly above. My whole body went numb. Rising, I went to the stairs, hearing thumping resonate through the hallway. I called my roommate's name, knowing it wouldn't be him but hoping. Getting no reply, I climbed the stairs, flicking on the hallway light. It was empty, but the far bedroom door stood open, which I'd definitely closed after he left. Heart pounding, I walked down the hall into the room. Everything looked untouched and clean. Checking every room revealed nothing. I didn't sleep that night, staying on edge, days until my roommate returned. Never hearing sounds again or finding opened doors. I still don't know if someone entered undetected or something else occurred. Story 5, asterisk, my name is Leo. Working at a small town pizza shop, handling everything except deliveries. I make pizzas, organize stations, clean, and and close nightly. Customer interactions are minimal since high schoolers take orders until 11 o'clock on weekdays. The shop closes at 12:30 a.m., so I handle late orders. This Monday shift was normal until 11 o'clock when my coworker left. Slow as usual, I started cleanup 30 minutes before closing when a call came. Dreading a last-minute order, I answered with our greeting. After I finished, a quiet pause hung before they disconnected. Muttering about prank calls, I returned to cleaning. Not 30 seconds later, the doorbell rang. A man stood at the counter wearing a heavy coat and black beanie over shaggy hair. His eyes disturbed me, dark circled and baggy, yet wide open. "Can I help you?" I asked, keeping distance. "I'd like to place an order right now," he said oddly, clearly indicating something wrong. Saying okay, I asked what he wanted, but he seemed unprepared for the question. His disturbing stare continued as he struggled to respond. Looking away uncomfortably, my eyes fell on his hand, partially out of his jacket pocket, clutching a kitchen knife. He tried hiding it, but I saw the handle and blade tip. My stomach dropped as blood drained from my face. Looking back up, his eyes still fixed on me, face stiff and emotionless. The door opening startled both of us, another customer, entering who immediately sensed trouble. The man by the register rushed past them out the door. I called 911 and explained to the customer. We watched through the window as he sped away. I suspect he called earlier, saw me alone when I answered, then entered. Without that random customer, I dread what his knife-wielding insanity would have done. Since then, he hasn't returned. Story 6 at 17. I lived in my parents' basement, a finished in-law suite. With them traveling for work, I was alone a whole week. This Saturday night, before a storm, I took their car to the store for food. Driving back through torrential rain. With near-zero visibility, I parked in the driveway and dashed inside. Heading straight to the kitchen to turn on the oven, I immediately heard something crash downstairs. Fearing a leak, I hurried to the basement. Lights on revealed no water. Sounds. Walking through the TV area to the unfinished storage room, everything looked normal initially. Boxes stacked neatly. Then I noticed an open box on top. Its contents, my parents' old trophies, shattered inside as if fallen and hastily A jolt of terror hit, realizing someone had been here. Scanning the room. Story 6 at 17. I lived in my parents' basement, a finished in-law suite. With them traveling for work, I was alone a whole week. This Saturday night, before a storm, I took their car to the store for food. Driving back through torrential rain. With near-zero visibility, I parked in the driveway and dashed inside. Heading straight to the kitchen to turn on the oven, I immediately heard something crash downstairs. Fearing a leak, I hurried to the basement. Lights on revealed no water. Sounds. Walking through the TV area to the unfinished storage room, everything looked normal initially. Boxes stacked neatly. Then I noticed an open box on top. Its contents, my parents' old trophies, shattered inside as if fallen and hastily A jolt of terror hit, realizing someone had been here. Scanning the room while noting the storm drowned out sounds, I backed up just as a box in back toppled over. A man charged at me from behind it. I bolted upstairs, footsteps climbing close behind. On the final step, I tripped and fell. Every horror scenario flashed through my mind, but he ran past me out the front door. Police found an unlocked entry window. His reason for entering remains unknown. Story 7 years ago, during a cross-country trucking route. A storm hit 20 hours into my drive. My fuel gauge plummeted suddenly, despite being fine earlier. Pulling over, I discovered gas leaking. Impossible. Without sabotage. A truck parked aggressively close behind me, lights off. A man got out asking if I needed help with a smirk. When I declined twice, he stood uncomfortably close, insisting on giving me a ride home. I refused and got back in my cab. He stared through my window silently while I called police. As he drove past slowly, I saw someone pressed against his back window with wide, terrified eyes, no license plate visible. Police confirmed my tank was stabbed intentionally. He likely followed me, waiting to offer that ride. That trapped person's fate remains unknown since he vanished. Story 8. Backpacking solo in Washington's national parks. I was 20 miles from roads when I passed a man hiking opposite direction. He carried no gear, just hiking clothes, in cold fall weather. After I reached my campsite hours later, the same man appeared there despite walking away earlier. He sat on dirt without shelter, ignoring me until sunset, when he stared intensely as I set up camp. Uneasy, I packed to leave. He stood when I did, following me down the trail. Hearing his footsteps close behind, I veered off trail into pitch-black woods. He stopped on the path, calling out in disturbingly friendly tones before entering the woods opposite when I didn't respond. I waited over an hour before hiking out overnight. Police never followed up. Whether he lived there or planned robbery, kidnapping, I'm lucky I escaped. Story 9. Working closing shift to 1 p.m. at a small drive-through cafe. I sat at a dining table during lulls. Drizzling rain made it quieter than usual. Suddenly, the front door opened, rare this late. A tall man in soaked dark clothing entered, sitting at a far table without noticing me. I approached, asking his order. Blank-faced, he asked, "Who else worked tonight?" When I said just me closing soon, he requested coffee. While making it in the kitchen, I turned to find him blocking the doorway, bloodshot eyes locked on me. "Put the drink down and come with me," he demanded, clearly ready to force compliance given his size advantage. Following him outside, he grabbed my collar, pushing me toward the wooded road across from the parking lot. A car pulled in, an off-duty police officer heading home. I screamed. The man released me and sprinted into the woods. The officer rescued me. Cameras caught decent footage, but the man remains unfound. Story 11. During a vacation to my parents' Airbnb rental, a secluded cabin on large, wooded property, I arrived and left my suitcase in the bedroom before visiting family all afternoon. Returning around 10 p.m., I heard distinct footsteps outside. While watching a movie, peering through the back door, I saw a man walking toward distant trees. Footprints led to a window with a direct sight line to the living room couch where I'd been sitting earlier. After covering windows and resuming my movie, I heard sprinting footsteps when checking the window later. Police discovered my suitcase, ransacked with missing items. He'd likely been inside during my return, escaping through a window. Most chillingly, his return to watch me suggests he wasn't finished had I not spotted him. I'd have slept unaware of his presence. Story 12. Living temporarily near the Appalachians, I decided to hike despite minimal outdoors experience. The trail was deserted, with overgrown sections suggesting rare use. Deep in the forest, I encountered a silent man sitting trailside who didn't return my greeting. At the scenic overlook, he reappeared abruptly, standing just 10 feet away. His sudden smile didn't reach his eyes as he insisted a hidden path offered better views. When I declined, He physically blocked the main trail with blank-faced intensity. Miraculously, he stepped aside as I walked around him but tracked my exit with predatory focus. That overgrown path was certainly a trap. His unnatural behavior screams sinister intentions. Story 13 at 16. My friend Leon and I explored an abandoned farm the night before Halloween to avoid crowds. Finding the house boarded shut, we entered the barn where a putrid smell hit us. Footprints patterned the floor, leading to a cellar hatch secured with a new padlock. Suddenly, the heavy barn door slammed behind us. Forcing it open, we saw no one but sprinted through waist-high grass back to civilization. Months later, authorities sealed the property without explanation. The deliberate footprints and fresh lock hinted at ongoing activity. Had we opened that hatch, we might have joined whatever was hidden below. Story 14. Delivering food during an early snowstorm. I accepted a remote farmhouse order against better judgment. The dirt driveway cut through unplowed fields to a darkened house. Only an automatic porch light glowed. As I stood on the porch, a car blocked my exit. The driver ignored questions, staring silently until I noticed rope coiled in his frozen hands. I bolted into snowdrifts as he gave chase. Police later confirmed the house was abandoned. The fake order was bait. His preparedness with restraints meant this wasn't robbery. He'd planned something far darker. Story 15. At a full cabin retreat, I camped lakeside on the 5th night. At dusk, I spotted a man watching me intently from the tree line. He vanished after I waved. Hours later, near my campfire, I saw him again, motionless among distant trees. As night fell, he became a shadow just beyond the firelight, invisible yet palpably present. His untouched tent proved he wasn't camping. I kept the fire blazing all night, sensing his gaze. At dawn, I fled like prey, escaping a hunter. His stalking felt calculated. Had I lowered my guard, I'd have been taken. Story 16. Pre-Halloween. I was home alone during heavy rain when backyard footsteps startled me. Confronting a soaked 20-something man, I shouted until he left. Later, violent pounding shook the house. I found him pressing against the glass door, rage contorting his face. When he retreated to hide beside the house, police arrived. Instead of fleeing, he chose to re-attack the door with frenzied desperation. Arrested while high, he gave no motive during sobriety. His brief imprisonment terrifies me. That unhinged rage could return any night. Story 17. Camping with my brother in the Appalachians, we found charred logs at a remote site. At sunset, blood-curdling screams echoed through the woods. A man in agony. My dad investigated, ordering me to stay by the fire. When screams ceased abruptly, I searched and heard approaching footsteps in the dark. Just as the source neared, my dad tackled me sideways, screaming, "Run!" We abandoned everything, fleeing blindly through trails. He still won't describe what he saw, but his face that night said everything. Those screams were a lure, and the footsteps were death closing in. Story 18. Solo camping by a lake. Another camper stared relentlessly. After I waved, he vanished into woods. At sunset, I spotted him watching from 200 yards away, statue still for 40 minutes, until darkness swallowed him. My campfire illuminated me like a stage while I saw only blackness beyond. He never used his tent or approached. I stayed vigilant all night, knowing his presence wasn't coincidence. At dawn, I escaped. This wasn't camping, it was hunting. Had I slept, I'd have woken in his grasp. Story 19. Trucking cross-country during a storm. My gas gauge plummeted inexplicably. Pulling over, I found a deliberate fuel leak. A truck parked inches behind me, lights off. One man approached with a smirk, offering help. When I refused rides, he stared through my window in silence while I called police. As he drove away, I saw a wide-eyed face pressed against his back window, mouth open in a silent scream. Police confirmed my tank was stabbed. His rescue plan was predation. That trapped person was a warning of what awaited me. Story 20. Late night. Door dashing led me to a decaying farmhouse down an isolated driveway. Only a solar-powered porch light shone. Realizing it was abandoned as footsteps crunched behind me, I turned to see a car blocking my exit. The driver emerged, silently staring until I spotted rope in his hands. I dove into frozen cornfields, hearing him thrash through stalks. Police found a house long vacant. His untouched car proved this wasn't theft. He wanted me, and that. Rope meant suffering. Story 21. Driving to college. I stopped at a desolate gas station. A disheveled man insisted I re-enter the highway via the exit ramp against traffic. Dismissing him, I took the entrance ramp where every streetlight was sabotaged. A truck suddenly blocked the road as dozens swarmed my car with machetes and bats. I reversed through the dark escape route the stranger described. His illogical advice saved me. Those attackers' uncovered faces showed they expected no witnesses. Story 22. During freezing rain. A man with a snow shovel knocked, spinning. A shaky story about yard work. After I slammed the door, a ceiling thump seemed like settling pipes. At midnight, I discovered an open second-story window with a muddy shoe print on the sill. Hiding in the garage, I called police, who found him in my bedroom closet. He'd roof-hopped after I rejected him, entering through the unlocked window. His direct path to my bedroom and removed shoes confirmed premeditated violence. Story 23. Working gas station nights. Dave bought bizarre items daily. One night, sweaty and trembling, he purchased a heavy-duty lock. Days later, during downpour, he tore through aisles until a metallic thud echoed from his car trunk. When I looked toward the sound, he froze, middle staring with chilling blankness. After he fled, I photographed his license plate. Police found a kidnapped woman chained in his shed. Dave was an alias. He'd used our station to gather tools for imprisonment. Story 24. At 14, during my parents' anniversary, friend Justin stayed over. Hearing noises, we found hand smudges on the back door glass where someone had pressed their face to peer inside. Later, I awoke to find the basement door ajar and upstairs lights on. In the kitchen, movement in the window reflection revealed a stranger creeping down the hallway. We hid in a closet, hearing him rummage through rooms until police arrived. The intruder had snapped the door bolt. For years afterward, fresh peeping smudges appeared until security cameras finally deterred him. Story 2. 5. At 16. Home alone, dogs barked as the garage door opened, but no cars were outside. Following Mom's texted instructions, I locked myself upstairs. Hearing floorboards creak below, I yelled from the balcony and spotted a lurking silhouette. Trapped in my bathroom without my phone, I dashed to my bedroom. As I dialed 911, a bloodshot eye peered through my closet wall crevice. I sprinted to a neighbor's house where an off-duty officer arrested the gaunt, bearded intruder curled in my closet. I'm never left alone now. His hiding spot proved he'd been waiting to strike.